So Sylvia, do I have your permission to record this call?
Yes.
Okay. So let me let me throw out a couple thoughts, okay, before we get into everything you're gonna uh dive into. So just to remind us of a couple things. One, we're compressing a lot of action into a very small amount of time. I get that one
Yeah.
million percent. So we're ready to make some decisions, hopefully today, that can help you say, like, hey, Manny, that might be too much or that might be too little. But I that's what this process is about. This is a brainstorm, of course,
Right.
to help you and myself kind of land on some of the things that she may or may not do, some of the decisions she may or may not make. Also, I want to
Yeah.
recognize the fact that, listen, we're doing we're not even letting these characters take a breather. You've seen some of the format of these videos, right? These stories. They're like
Yeah.
one moment she loves him and the next moment she hates him and he's about to kill her. And
Yeah.
it's like what the hell? It's super super, it is TikTok speed of drama, right? Um so I want to recognize that because I'm going to have a conversation with you about story that does not serve the typical format that I think you and I would talk about as more serious filmmakers, right? We're gonna
Hmm.
need to understand that we're kind of agreeing to make something more compressed than the way that we like dialogue, quiet, talking, and then moments of dialogue like you have in your film, which I think has an unbelievably perfect cadence. You know how you use the dialogue and there's a moment of silence, there's a moment of reflection. You got to go. A lot of the stuff is not as available on this in this format because of the way that this
Right.
is. So I just want to put that out there, Sylvia, so you don't think like, man, he has no idea about the speed of silence, right? Sometimes there's
Yeah.
silence
Yeah.
is the dialogue, right? And those are some of the challenges that we have as we construct Cholita into this highly compressed story that we try to execute in 30 to 35 minutes, in that range. So I just wanted to put that out there before we dig deeper into it. And I also appreciate that you were silent, but not for a bad reason, because I was like, man, I was just concerned that the whole Cholita angle was driving you nuts because it's in Bolivia. I want to brainstorm with you actually on some of that towards the end of the call because we do have to act
Yeah.
for the actress and that character
Yeah.
age and stuff like that is really important for the story. So, anyways, I'm gonna throw the mic back at you. I want to learn about your process. I want to hear about your thinking of the story, and let's brainstorm and talk.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, reading through the outline, and digging through it a little bit, for me, it's a matter of like taking a minute to process and digest, and then from there, a lot of the times for me, the the story really creates itself in the script and in the scenes through character motivations, to get where we need to go, right? And so I'm a few episodes in, like I said, and there are scenes that are coming out that are not in the outline, but are helpful and motivated in different ways. Characters have been roughly the same. Like there is an ex-boyfriend, but maybe he's not toxico. He's um, like I have for some reason I have him being more like a square, like a smothering square. And she's like a free, loving, like doesn't need any help type of person, and so she's like, we're broken up, but he's the one who takes her to the like bus stop to go to the airport, and so maybe he will come back later in the season, and then she'll find herself in a love triangle or something, for example. So these are the ideas that are like cooking up in my brain. Like I said, with the dad, I found it more interesting if he passed away, and so with the grandma saying that she's sick and has no one to help her, she has more of a motivation to feel connected to the grandma and actually go and do this for her late father. Um, so I'm finding like more motivated, like things that will put her into action and start moving forward quickly. But yeah, no, it worked out where I got her out of Bolivia in the first episode. I was like, I did it. Um, so I think I am, and my nature is very sparse, not really verbose in the way that I speak or in the way that I write, which can be a problem writing features actually.
Because
But in
you're very
this one,
efficient. You're very efficient as a writer,
uh,
or
I think I'm sparse. Yeah. I
Mhm.
don't know. There's give and take, and who knows what's better or worse. But in this format, I'm finding it's fine so
Yeah,
far.
yeah, yeah. It's good
Um,
for this format. It's good to be
yeah,
sparse and very action driven. Uh,
yeah,
I'm also seeing a film that's very colorful. Like
yes,
it, it just looks like eye candy on steroids because of her dress,
yes,
her roller
yes.
skates, all the, yeah.
From my research, with Cholitas in Bolivia, yeah, I imagine the opening scene to be super, super colorful. And then I want there to be a Bolivian flag in there, so it's very clear. I have the idea of maybe having her have a tattoo that has a heart with like Bolivian flag, Mexican flag, so we don't have to say it, we could show it. And then later on, it's clear why she's in LA. We don't have to really explain things. Because it's in the either the production design or the design of what she's decorating. So I have in the first episode a scene where the mom mentions the dad, and then she looks up and there's a picture of the dad with like Photoshop angel wings and like a Mexican and American flag, and he's got a cowboy hat, and he's like, it's a comical beat, but it also informs the audience that he's a Mexican. So, you know, I explained that
Is
so
that in
far.
Bolivia? Is that item in Bolivia or is it in the
Yeah,
US?
it's in her room.
A room.
It's in her room. Yeah. Um, yeah, and I think that would be take a sad moment too, where it's like, oh, she's like grieving her father. Her father's dead, but this like ridiculous photoshopped image of him, it could be funny, right? So I'm trying to find ways to like keep moving the story along. So
So
yeah, now that we're in
you
LA, huh?
you have the film opening. Sorry to interrupt you here. Do you have the film opening with her having that guy
Right.
against the pinning him?
Yes, so I have that. It starts with like Scream, she's got a headlock. And
Yes.
so I had the opponent as a man
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
originally.
of course.
But I don't know if we want to do that, if we want to have, because I was thinking maybe we save that for when she fights in LA, if that
Well,
happens, you know?
I think it could be I think it could be a foreshadowing to when she tries that move of sorts on the Cholo guy.
Hmm.
She's got that short thing that it's like a certain thing, right? It's like let's call it
Yeah,
Shura move or whatever. But
the
then she
headlock.
tries it in LA, but in LA it doesn't work. The guy's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like you're like,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. So I have like this idea going. So where she has an opponent, but it's a girl, and then she tells the lead Cholita like I want to have Saturday night like fights, and I want to fight the guys. So she has this like goal in Bolivia that she's ripped out of when she goes to LA, and so she feels like she has is missing the opportunity back home to like live her life. And then when she's in LA, like she could have issues where she's not having like a fast ascent into like her successes, right? So she's running into issues with the Cholo and then going into fighting. I feel like it would be more victorious if she were to like pin and like overcome like a fight with a guy then rather than in the beginning. So like those are like little story beats I was playing with, but we could easily change it back. But
Oh,
I think
listen,
that
I'm giving to give you. And this conversation is about it. I wanted to ultimately for you to feel satisfied with the journey that this woman, this young girl, that's the other thing. She's supposed to be young. She's not in her 20s. Because it will be it when the cholas challenge her, a 20 something year old woman would be less likely to respond to a
yeah,
challenge than a
Mhm.
young 18-year-old, 19-year-old who's kind of, a whippersnapper, young
Yeah.
whippersnapper. So I think that that was an important mistake that I don't know why I wrote a 20 something. I meant I meant a younger gal. But what I was going to tell you is, um, in the beginning, well, not in the beginning. I think her ultimate conquest in LA is not really the. I don't think should be um the wrestling, the lucha libre. I think her ultimate
Mhm.
challenge is she's in LA, one of the fashion capitals of the world, and that's ultimately what she wants to show off the most. The lucha libre is just part of what her sport, what she enjoys. It's sort of it's sort of like her outlet, but
Yeah.
her real passion is that thing that she shares with her grandmother, for example, as well. Like her deeper passion, her career
Yeah.
passion, her ambition, because she has a background with her mom who's not well, not doing poorly in Bolivia, right? Which, so I think that that narrative of going too deep into the lucha, we can kind of go too deep into the lucha and not enough into the fashion side. That explains
Yeah.
her fierce identity around how she dresses, and so there's a lot of both, I think, but ultimately,
Yeah.
she what makes her a little bit more than interested about the U.S. beyond her grandmother is that she's going to a place where it's L.A., it's Hollywood, it's
Mhm.
fashion, it's a fashion town.
Yeah. No,
I think
I think that would be fun. And I think the biggest thing about her character is that she's someone who is very aspirational. She's someone that is like hit is like a she takes the bull by the horn type of gal, and I think that applies to anywhere that she is. And
yeah,
so that's coming across so far in the script, which I'm really excited about and to explore, especially explore how she like failed when she's failing or how that bothers her. But yeah, no, I think I
you want
don't really have anything really to discuss until like I get further into the script and maybe have a first draft. Like I know the first draft that I send is not it's something that will adjust over and over again, especially
maybe
with the format.
do you work with a Save the Cat?
Uh-huh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because we
I
we
mean, I don't like always do
not,
that,
not
but
yeah, not religiously, but I like Save the Cat a lot for stories. Um I think it's a good it's good for resolving a lot of stuff. So I tend to use it, but I don't use it to the T. I just wanted to say that words we speak Save the Cat language. Well, Rame doesn't yet. He just got Save the Cat today, and I'm coaching him on that. But I am paying attention
yeah.
to that.
I
If
just watched Twister the other day, and Glenn Powell, he's like looking for the dog. He's like trying to save a dog. I was like, oh, there it is. But no, yeah, I've studied story structure and I've read a few books. I listened to Save the Cat actually. Um,
I
but it's so funny when it comes to writing is super instinctual also with the knowledge of experience, I guess.
No, absolutely.
Um,
And writing, not just the story arcing, but like the actual dialogue to me is, 50% of the whole thing is the dialogue. How much
yeah.
people are interested in people through what they say or what they don't say. Sometimes what you show, right? I really am a big believer in showing rather than telling as much as I think you and I are on the same page about that. Let me
Mhm.
ask you this question. We are uh pegging the first those dates that we talked about in December. When do you think you might have a first draft?
Oh, I'm hoping to have a draft by the end of the month, this month. Um, I mean, if all goes well by the end of this week.
Okay.
But
And,
because yeah, I'm already like 5 pages in or so. Um,
okay. And I wanted to
yeah.
let you know that we are going to work in parallel to try to help cast the Cholita. So
Okay.
I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Um, right now we're looking at one option that is probably the most promising in trying to find a Bolivian actress, which is trying to look for comedy influencers in Bolivia who happen to be young.
And
That
speak English.
and speak English. Yeah. So that's the challenge.
Yeah.
We know
Yeah.
that that may not be realistic. There's a lot of, there's not as many Bolivians as there are Mexicans or, Argentines, etc. But we're going to give it a crack. Sometimes you'd be surprised, right, who you find. We're also looking through the Latina actors groups on Instagram and through Bolivian groups on social media of professionals. So we're going to make a good try at finding that. But we may end up with more of a Mexican American actor who's young and kind of have the indigenous features that would go well. Like, you would be like, okay, well, she's clearly maybe more Mexican, but she could be Bolivian, just gotta have her carry both lineage in that sense, which is very common. I mean, we have my daughter doesn't look anything like me. She looks like her mom, who's Mexican American. I'm the white boy Cuban American. So it's just, I mean, it's just the reality of our genes. The genes are like that.
Have you seen an English teacher? Oh, Rame, I think there's feedback coming from your, yeah, but is have you seen English teacher? I think the lead is a Cuban man.
Ah,
Um, yeah, and he looks like a white Cuban, but it's
yeah,
funny.
I hate it, but it is what it is. But
Well, I think for Yoli, the big thing for me is to make sure, I mean, she's youthful. She's
athletic,
tan. I mean, I would like for her to be tan and
yeah,
have the stature of a Cholita, you know?
I got you.
And I don't think that's not, I think that in the Mexican community, in the Mexican American community, it's there.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. And I think we're gonna
yeah,
start that search maybe tomorrow or Thursday. We're gonna put some searches through various platforms. We're gonna send you a description that we would want to put out so that you can tweak it or edit it as you think it needs to be. The
that'd be great.
troll character needs to be a fun guy. He can be older than her by a few years, 21, 22, but not too much older than her.
They played 21, 22. Yeah.
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 Excuse me one second. My daughter's calling. I just want to tell her.
Okay.
Yes, mommy, I'm gonna pick you up. No, I just found out. I'll pick you up. Where are you gonna be? Where are you gonna be? At the front of the school? Okay, bye. In a few minutes, just wait outside. Be next to the security. Bye. No, no, I gotta let you go. I'll pick you up soon. Just answer your phone. Bye. Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry. Four
That's
kids.
okay.
Um,
Where? Wow.
so anything else? Oh, you know what? Let me just run through a couple of things with you before we hang up. Yeah, and I gotta go pick up my
Okay.
daughter, which is great. We'll have a short call today. But so we agree that she's got to be about 18 years old. So I'm just gonna race through a couple thoughts, okay, real quick that I had written up. Um,
Okay.
one of the interesting things about considering that Yoli arrives when she arrives in LA is to flip the script on the usually poor person who arrives in the US and is like, oh my God, civilizations, good clothing. No, no, she comes like she's dressed. She's almost like it's the reverse of the stereotype, right? So it's reversing the culture shock so that when she gets to LA, it's like she feels like she's going to be in her element. But when she gets to Boyle Heights, she's like, oh, well, I guess Abuela is not, things are not so well off here. So just wanted to put
Hmm.
it out there. And then I put here that I think we should figure out what are some of the things that Yoli is schooled about by Naomi in that neighborhood. Like, what are some of the things that Naomi is going to school her about how the ways are in that neighborhood. I'm just putting that thought there. And then when there's that potential early part where there's a potential fight with the cholas are kind of like giving her attitude, but Yoli almost instinctively, because she's a fighter, she's the one that begins being aggressive, more aggressive than the cholas are necessarily being. So let's just show that the aggression is coming from her and not the cholas. The cholas are just like they're like making fun of her, you know. But Yoli is the one
Mhm.
that's like the rooster here, if you will.
Aggressor. Yeah, aggressor.
Okay, so let me continue. Um, I don't know what you think about the grandfather being a former champion at Vampiro Rojo, which is just a
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure yet how I feel about that. I think it's interesting, um,
okay.
but it's something I can definitely consider.
I also didn't. There's a part here where I put here a couple of the things that I felt was missing from the draft, which I just wanted to note, which is I think there should be a little bit stronger all is lost type moment for
Oh
her.
yeah, always.
The stakes have to
Yeah.
be raised for her more. She also needs to have a moment where she's just going to go back and she's she's in touch with her mom. Maybe at first she's heavily in touch with her mom because she's just thinking about how she just gets out sooner rather than later. But her mom is like, no, just whatever that is. And then I think that whoever we cast needs to be fairly athletic for Cholita. So she needs to be
Oh
somebody
yeah.
that can do that. And then finally, let's think about music because I think this will be an opportunity to give an artist, a Latin artist, a Latino artist, an opportunity to have their music showcased during the roller skating part where she's just checking out the neighbor, either roller skating or skateboarding, whatever, which one of the two you
I
decide.
think skateboarding.
Skateboarding? Okay.
I like, yeah, yeah.
So skateboarding. So that's it. Those are my
Yeah.
notes. When do you want to get together again?
I feel like after this week, I'll have a more clear situation where we could really dig deep in story beats and story. Would Monday be okay?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm working around your schedule, Sylvia. I want to be sure that you feel
Yeah, I'm cooking
that.
over here, so I think Monday would be good.
Okay.
Um,
Did you say you were cooking?
yeah, I'm cooking like
Oh, cooking.
cooking
The
Okay.
the
Darwin
script.
story.
No, I'm hungry, so I'm like, what are you cooking? Are you?
Nothing, unfortunately, just the script.
Do you know how to?
Would
Do you know
10 a.m. be okay?
I believe so. Let me verify.
Okay, I'll just put it in my calendar for now, but anytime Monday is good.
Um, and I do know that Carlos uh will want to meet you pretty soon. Carlos Ponce.
Okay,
He's a really cool
okay,
dude, and he's very excited about you. So
cool.
yeah, that should work. If Rame, can you send us an invite?
Yeah, we'll do.
Actually, you know what?
Yeah, and any
Let me send it because I will most likely make it a recordable type thing. So Cholita
sure.
Pixelay.
Yeah, any actors that come to mind, just send them my way, and then I'll
Yeah.
look out for that listing description. And then when I have that too, I'll share it around.
Okay. And I know this.
Sylvia, quick question. Now that you're starting in the initial part of the development story, how far back are you going to the relationship between the mother and the dad? Because that could potentially influence a lot of how the character and Yoli built up. And I don't know if you touch because the mother returns to Bolivia. So there has to be a separation from the father, which does create some type of absency from the father. I don't know if that also kind of molds Yoli in a certain way. If now that he's gone, if there's resentment or regret
Yeah,
from
that's
not having
why.
that closeness of a relationship, and kind of like, does the fashion and the skating, is that an escape to paint a happy picture, or is it more of a suppressed anger, and that's what developed her to create a passion for wrestling because she got to release and express it that way. So I was just kind of curious if you're touching anything a little further to the backstory to kind of get to know how she came to be today.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm kind of shifting because I didn't want her to have some sort of resentment to the grandma, um, because of her father potentially leaving her. And then in terms, I wanted her to feel connected enough to go. But then yeah, so there I am thinking about her past, but it's not exactly 100% set in stone yet,
Yeah, and
her relationship.
I'll just throw one thought, having been around a lot of broken families, even in my family. I was raised by my grandparents, and my dad was semi-present. My mom was not present. So there's something to be said about a grandmother who, because remember, we have to create a compelling reason of why her mom decided to basically flee to Bolivia, right? Just go back and just leave LA because LA was a nightmare for her. I like the idea that her dad is not around and was not around in her life, but that her grandmother fiercely insisted in that relationship with her. And
Mm-hmm.
and I think the fact that her grandfather died and never knew her own father could create an explanation of why the dad just never had a father in his own life. So he didn't know better. So that's just something I'll put it out there for you, Sylvia. But I think there's some power to the grandmother always being the one that would send her the dress, the thing, that the gift, the maybe even special like knitting things that she did for her through the years to show her that she
Yeah.
more than a long distance grandmother, she was a present grandmother as best as she knew in the Boyle Heights. And I'm
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
grandparents. I'm just that's me. So that's where I that's sort of where that came from. I just wanted you to be aware of that. I'll send you some other notes
Yeah.
or whatever if I come with it. But I want you to understand I this is a collaboration, right? And we're gonna carry your final vision on this. But I just wanted you to know that I think it's okay for her dad to like just a lot like a lot of dads, they weren't really present, but she was. She always was.
Yeah. Yeah, there is something, yeah, to that. No, let me get through more of the script and then the overall script and then we'll fine tune those details. And I know that there's yeah, there'll be depth that comes out of it for sure.
Very cool. What
But
the
funny though.
invite
It
has
has to be funny.
the invite will have sent Sylvia, and
All right.
and just so you know, we're gonna probably start crafting the poster for this because
Mhm.
uh we're probably gonna uh we're probably gonna tease this at a major national event in November. So I'm working on, do we
Mhm.
want to tease it? Do we want to even mention it? I think we're leaning towards yes, because it's going to have marketability. So we might create a lucha libre meets Cholita type poster look. It'll be really, really cute, like the other stuff that we.
Okay. Yeah.
So, anyways, just
Yeah.
FYI, and hopefully I have some other people to introduce you to soon. I'm working on a couple things that could make things even a little bit more interesting. But we'll take that one step.
Awesome.
All right. Well, listen. Have a
All right,
good.
sounds
I go
good.
pick up my daughter.
All
And
right. All right.
great to talking to you, Sylvia. You
Bye,
need
Sylvia.
anything
Thank
at
you for
any
your time.
time, Sylvia, if you need anything at any time, just WhatsApp me. I'm happy to be a sounding board as you do something or a quick question, anything. I am here. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much. All
Bye.
right.